So we have a good show for you today. Of course, it's Tuesday, so we do have Tuesdays with Elliot, in which we will examine the Jalen Hurts contract. Well, Howard dropped a couple of bombs today, so we're going to have to talk about that at 3 o'clock. Yes. And he is, everybody is now actually going for Eagles Inside of the Year, which makes me feel good.
Where's Ike at?
Yeah.
I need something more than Mekhi Becton playing guard. Get me a real scoop.
Yeah, Corey from Columbus, wake up! What are you doing here?
Now I'm being criticized.
Well,
someone get Gunner.
Yep.
There's an arms race, Gunner.
He's lurking in the shadows right now.
John Clark breaking stupid Sixers news today.
Yep.
I mean, come on, Clarky.
He's trying for something. He wants to win some Insider of the Year.
I feel you.
So we wake up today. I actually watched it last night, but we wake up today and the Boston Celtics are NBA champions. So it's not a great feeling. So since Joel Embiid started playing basketball for the 76ers, the Boston Celtics have been to 6 conference finals, 2 finals, and have won 1 championship. Jaylen Brown is 27. Jason Tatum is 26, I think. And it would appear that there is no end in sight for them. So, they are our primary rival, I guess you would say. The Knicks are sort of a rival now, and as a rival as much as any team can be a rival that kicks your ass every year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I wake up and I see that the Boston Celtics are champions, and I am happy. And this is exactly what I wanted, because I do believe that the 76ers owners need to feel it in their gut. They need to see another Northeast rich guy celebrating somebody that they will run into at parties, that has had a bunch of success, and they have no excuses anymore. It's not like the Celtics haven't gone all the way. They have. And Joel Embiid as well. It's one thing to say in interviews after a game that it's not a rivalry until you beat them, but now you feel it in your gut. You are 30 years old, and Jason Tatum has just been to 2 finals and won a championship. Jaylen Brown has a finals MVP, and you haven't gotten past the second round, and I want Joel Embiid to feel it in his gut. But the good news is that I do not feel like competing with the Celtics is out of arm's reach. I think that the Sixers, with what they have, with Embiid and Maxey, it's not going to be easy. They're not right on the doorstep, but the Celtics are not an unclimbable mountain. They're not the Warriors of, 7 or 8 years ago. This is a team that can be beaten, and I think with the right moves, the Sixers can beat them.
Yeah, I hear that, and I see sort of what you're saying, but I look at that not just that game last night. That game last night was just one game delayed from what became inevitable after Game 3 when Dallas, when Luka pretty much tapped out at the end of that game with about 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't win that game at home. You knew this series was over with, and Boston was eventually going to be the champion. I see that last night, Spike, and I say to myself, I am as a Sixer fan, I am on the fence right now. I'm not on the fence about whether or not I'm a Sixer fan and I want them to win. I'm not on the fence about whether or not I believe Joel Embiid, outside of Allen Iverson, is the greatest player in the last generation or two for the Sixers, in my opinion. I'm not on the fence about those things. I'm not on the fence about Tyrese Maxey being a capable contributor, co-star, part of a trio that can win a championship. I'm not on the fence about that. What I am on the fence about is whether or not can we get it done and whether or not I still am going to believe. And that's where I'm at as far as with this Sixers team. And what they do over the next few weeks will determine whether or not I ultimately land in one area or the other. Because here's where I'm at. I'm an Embiid fan. So it's not as if I'm somehow going to turn on Embiid and all of a sudden I don't like Joel Embiid no more. I think Joel Embiid is a great player. But whether or not I think he can lead us to a championship or this team can win a championship isn't solely about Joel Embiid. It's not as simple as that to me. It's really about, can you put the right team around him? Can you put the right coaching staff around him? Build a championship culture. Say what you want to say about Boston. They've had several sort of variations of this team. But they have somewhat of a culture that those two young guys have been able to develop in, and they finally put the pieces together to win a championship. I don't believe we have the pieces, and this offseason is going to go a long way to telling me or showing me whether or not should I have championship aspirations or should I just be okay with, you know what, we got one of the best big men that we've ever seen, and I should just enjoy that.
Well, what do you want to see this offseason?
I want to see them go out and put me right in the same category with the Boston Celtics as a championship caliber team. I want to see Daryl Morey go out and do whatever it needs to be done to either get a Paul George here, get Jimmy Butler here. I don't believe LeBron is coming. No, I'm not LeBron, whatever. Brandon Ingram, can you add something with an Ingram here? I want to be excited about this team next year. And right now, if you're telling me Embiid and Maxey with role players, that's not going to have me thinking about a championship anytime soon.
So here's good news and bad news. The good news is that I think they can get there. The bad news for you and the bad news for, I think, a lot of Sixers fans is that I don't necessarily think that they're going to get there by July 10th. I don't think that it is a lock that we are going to see the sort of piece that we need to see, that we all want to see. I don't think it's a lock that we're going to see Paul George or Jimmy Butler or even Brandon Ingram. And I think probably it's more likely that they wind up with those sort of role players or somebody that they can trade and they sit around and they wait around for the next superstar. Because the truth is that they can only go after the people that are available.
Sure.
And I would rather they sort of bide their time, and if they have to go into the season with a bunch of, 1 and 2 year guys and wait around for somebody to ask out, whether it's Kevin Durant or it's Donovan Mitchell, whoever it is that asks out, and you go and get that guy. Because unfortunately, this offseason, Paul George, I would love to get Paul George. Paul George mostly wants to be in Los Angeles. Jimmy Butler, we're going to have to convince Miami to give him to us. And Daryl can only do what Daryl can do. So, we have this offseason is right in front of us. And I know everybody wants it to happen right now. And I want it to happen right now. But we might have to wait.
But I'm going to tell you what it says to me ultimately. And you may be right as far as what ultimately happens. But with the most money, I think it's the second most money to spend of anybody, $60+ million potentially in salary cap space in a major city with an MVP, a 2-time MVP runner-up, and a budding young superstar who's just, 22, 23, 24 years old in Tyrese Maxey. If we can't attract players to come here to play, that says one or two things, maybe three things to me. Is it something about us as a city that players just don't want to come here and play? Is Embiid not attractive enough as a star with Maxey that people will say, I can go win a championship there? A loser like Paul George, who's never won anything, great player, but never won anything. Several other guys who've never won anything. They wouldn't want to come and play with Maxey and Embiid in a major city like Philadelphia to win a championship? Is the organization attractive enough to bring these type of guys in here? Can Daryl Morey sell people on the Sixers as an organization, this fan base as a fan base, to attract this type of player? When are we ever going to be in this position with a player of Embiid's caliber, where he's at in his career, and Maxey, where he's at in his career, Nick Nurse, who's won a championship as a head coach, and the most salary cap space to spend than anybody else in the league other than one other team, and we're still not an attractive destination? Man, how am I supposed to have hope and believe in that as a Sixer fan as far as winning a title? I don't know what it is that makes us unattractive. Again, I don't know if is it us as a fan base and media? Is it Embiid, his dedication to winning? I don't know. But this seems like the perfect situation for anyone who hasn't won a title and is looking to get max money and has that type of talent. They should be fighting to get here to play with Embiid and Maxey.